From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Well, hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you to this Wednesday's edition of For the People, hour number 2 on November 15th, 2017. You know, when you open up the mailbag, so to speak, I invited people the first hour to write in, and I had a listener. I'm not going to call him out because I'm not like that. I'm not hateful. And he's listening to the network and listened to some of my commentary, some of my opinions, which he told me that I'm entitled to do since we're not discriminating here on the airwaves, but I'm conservative. I hate that Roy Moore is being accused of these particular things. All I said was, and when I first learned of the news, and I do listen to what I say because I plan the shows, and many people write in and have their comments and opinions, and that's a good thing, and I ask you to do it. But Roy Moore has to explain himself. You can't just merely say that this is a witch hunt. You can't merely say they just conjured this stuff up to the imagination. Sean Hannity is one of the biggest conservatives in television, #1 rated news network in the United States. And he hasn't done it. He just wants to talk about the issues. It's a very salacious time right now in the media, given the climate of people coming out of the woodwork, all different places. Maybe the timing, I get it. Maybe the timing is not the best of it. It is a little suspicious. I know what my conservative brother is saying. I get that. Why are they coming out now? Why didn't they come out when he ran for judge? When he's on the bench, nobody said anything. Why did people come out with Harvey Weinstein? Why are people coming out on Capitol Hill? Why are people coming out on networks? Why did people complain about Bill O'Reilly? Remember Bill O'Reilly? Folks, it doesn't make me happy, but is everybody crazy? Did none of this stuff happen? And for Roy Moore, I said initially, I prayed that it wasn't true. But it becomes increasingly clearer, and not just for the establishment, because I want the swamp to be drained. I don't want there to be corruption. I don't want there to be lies and deceit, but what is hidden should come to light. That's what every Christian should desire. Whether it's on the left or the right, it helps our democracy get stronger when people do not suppress these particular things, if they are true. And if they are false, then let that come to light. A lot of people can do a lot of good things with their lives 20, 30 years down the road. But if there's skeletons in the closet and they come out, it can definitely damage an individual's reputation. And it's a sad day for individuals that happens to, because it overclouds what they achieved. And one most notoriously would be that of William Jefferson Clinton with Monica Lewinsky. What's the first thing that most people think about? I did not have sex with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. That's what people think. It's sad, but it's true. Now, with Roy Moore, it's to be decided, but folks, it's not fair. But if Roy Moore, if guilty till charged, but there might not be a court hearing, but there might be more and more and more people coming out with detailed information I mentioned the mall. I am mentioning all the latest reports of the things that are coming out, and I understand where they're being reported from. I get it. But it is being reported on Fox News Channel, on conservative outlets, The Blaze. This is not just cantered up and a witch hunt. These are factual claims that have been made against him that is running for Senate, and they're very, very provocative, very salacious, and very damning. Doesn't make me any less conservative that I've asked questions and say, look, just like Mitch, hey, buddy, for the party, possibly at this time, step down. It just doesn't look good. I'm sorry that you want me to change the name of the broadcast, but we are for the people and for all people. And if there is any inkling of truth, and to Roy Moore, and for anybody that abuses women and has done that before, shame on you. Shame on you. Sins eventually do find people out. And I hate to talk about it to a fellow conservative. But I am for equality, for decency, and there can't be anything more Christian than looking out for the least of these younger individuals. And if he was a predator for 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 16-year-olds, disgusting. I have daughters, my friends. I have 3 of them. And I have a daughter that's 14 years old. I couldn't imagine a 30-year-old man pushing himself on an individual. It's just a lot more people coming out, a lot more people in the community, and this is not just all being paid for by some RoboCop and then CNN. Folks, I think that Roy Moore is going to step down. That's the latest that I'm getting in from D.C. as we speak, that he will step down. I don't know if it's going to be today, but that's the conversation right now. More news will be coming up on that. But to my good friend that just weighed in, folks, I do a lot of research before I go on the air. I think about what I say, and you know what? It's not about left or right to me. It's what is right. I am a moderate conservative. I love this country. I'm patriotic. I voted for Donald Trump. The founder of this broadcast wrote Trump and asked him to run. The things that this broadcast has stood for so many decades, we still stand for and will continue to stand for, fighting for the American people. It's for Mr. and Mrs. America. Too many folks will lean on a party and not the principle. To me, this is about principle. You got to be a principled person if you're going to consider yourself to be a great Judeo-Christian. It's got to be about the principle over the party, and it should be for anybody here in this country, no matter where you listen, no matter where you're from. It's got to be principle. It's got to be virtues and values. And for some reason, I don't know, he thinks I'm a screaming liberal. I want to scream when I talk to a liberal, but, when you're a moderate, you see things on both ends. And, folks, I don't think I'm being unreasonable here. And if you think that I am, please. Do you think that I'm hanging Roy Moore? Do you think that I'm convicting him? Do you think I've already done that? Do you think that he is innocent and none of these claims for anybody that came through? And let's just say it for Weinstein. Let's say it for Bill O'Reilly. Let's say it for NBC. Let's say it for all of them. Look, it happened 20, 30 years ago. Forget about it. The women are crazy. They are nuts, nutbags. Shut them up. They're just trying to discredit somebody's good work. We shouldn't even listen to them. We shouldn't give them any credence. Now, I say this because I don't believe it. And that would be ridiculous if we would just shut everybody up. Luckily, we live in a free country and people have a right to say it. And remember, in our country, guilty until proven innocent. My mere combo about Roy Moore and about how he is defending himself, it seems like he is very defensive about these particulars. And he's not denying that he didn't hang out with young ones and that he didn't pick them up He didn't deny that fact. And, folks, that's where Sean Hannity is kind of, why aren't we defending him? Why are we defending him? He's not doing a very good job defending himself, and that's why it smells, to be honest with you. That's where it's picked up, and that's why it becomes increasingly more salacious. By the way, there's an anti-Trump hotel that's scheduled to open in spring of 2018, and it's just a few blocks from the Trump International Hotel, the Eaton Workshop Hotel. That's what they're going to call it, the Eaton Workshop. It's described more or less as the world's first politically motivated hotel, according to Bloomberg. And in general, they're trying to attract liberal guests, as you can imagine, as well as those who believe themselves to be woke, progressives. Catherine Liu, the founder of Eaton Workshop, told Bloomberg that the venue would cater to public activism by hosting engaging dialogue and progressive TED Talks, inspired lectures. So they're going to have puppy dogs. They're going to have safe rooms there. Well, I added that. But more or less, that's what it's going to become for bleeding hearts. Right from and I cannot imagine it being the wonderful grandeur of Trump's hotel. Anything even close to that. And think about Air One. Remember the liberal network that went de facto? It went off. Networks tried for liberals to be able to have their own network. Didn't work. I think Sirius XM, I think they have a bleeding channel on there, but certainly not as popular as conservative radio in this country. Much more, if you look up talk radio, it's like 98, 99% conservatism on the airwaves that actually pays the bills. It is not liberal radio. And people wonder why Donald Trump actually got into the White House. Liberals voted. They even have some common sense to them at the same time. Not all of them, but a lot of them did. I know a lot of liberals that voted for Donald Trump. They came to their senses. I opened the hotel, let them have their hotel, let them have their fun. They're not going to make any money. Unless George Soros, I guess he writes the checks, bankrolls it, but it's not going to be as nice as Trump's hotels. Nobody builds better hotels, nicer hotels. Him and Steve Wynn. But Trump, he outdid himself in D.C. It's a show place, a beautiful place to go and check out. By the way, this nut job in California, the gunman behind the rampage in Northern California, we're learning that he was out on bail for a charge of stabbing a neighbor, and he had been the object, apparently, of complaints, multiple complaints from neighbors who said that he had been firing off hundreds of rounds of ammunition and then had been the subject of a domestic violence call the day before the attack. Yet Kevin Neal was free and able to use a semi-automatic rifle. And folks, consider the state. Consider the state where Kevin Neal was from California. These are the folks that want to take your guns away. These are the folks that want to make it hard. But wait a second. They're offering all the sanctuary cities that you can imagine. It's the same policies, folks, that these liberals have that allowed Kevin Neal, in my opinion, because they let this guy out of jail. He was a subject to domestic violence, a call the day before the attack. Loose cannon, didn't do anything for him, was released from jail. And it's not clear of the terms of Neal's bail, but or whether he would have been allowed to possess firearms on his property at the end of the dirt road on Rancho Tehama Reserve. But nor did sheriff officials really give any details of the domestic violence call, but his many contact with authorities raised questions, apparently, why he was out of custody and able to go on a 45-minute rampage. That's what they're trying to ask themselves this morning. That began with the killing of two neighbors in an apparent act of revenge before he went looking